The fascination with the cosmos has long captivated humanity's imagination, igniting curiosity about the mysteries that lie beyond our planet. Among these mysteries, the phenomenon of unidentified objects has frequently emerged, with reports of sightings ranging from Earth's surface to the vast expanse of space. Recent claims of unidentified objects seen close to the moon have reignited discussions about otherworldly life, advanced technologies, and the limitations of our understanding of the universe. While skeptics and believers continue to engage in debates, these sightings near the moon prompt us to consider the implications and potential explanations behind these mysterious encounters. This most recent sighting has been shared around social media, and it shows two glowing objects close to the moon. Interestingly, it's been reported that the two objects could only be seen when the individuals zoomed in on their camera. And oddly enough, this isn't the first time that something like this has been reported. The man said that as he zoomed in to get a better view of the moon, the craters and valleys revealed themselves in intricate detail. He adjusted the focus, and with each adjustment, the lunar surface appeared clearer. It was during this precise moment that something extraordinary happened. His trained eye caught a glimpse of two faint glimmering specks moving across the moon's surface. At first, he dismissed the glows as mere artifacts or a trick of the light. To his astonishment, the two glows persisted, steadily traversing the moon's face. They were not stars. Their movements were deliberate, calculated, and too close to be anything but extraordinary. The man said that he reached for his camera, quickly adjusting the settings to capture the mysterious objects. The two glows seemed to hover above the moon, a serene and otherworldly ballet beneath the vastness of space. As the minutes passed, his initial disbelief transformed into a mixture of wonder and curiosity. The glows emitted a soft luminescence, casting a gentle radiance on the moon's surface below. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, the glows began to fade, their brilliance dimming until they were nothing more than ethereal wisps against the lunar backdrop. The unidentified objects moved off the moon's edge and disappeared into the obsidian abyss of space, leaving behind a sense of awe and unanswered questions. For decades, individuals have reported seeing inexplicable objects in the sky, often accompanied by vivid descriptions of their appearance and behavior. However, the notion of unidentified objects near the moon introduces an additional layer of intrigue. Our celestial companion, the moon, has been a source of fascination and exploration since time immemorial. It is both a symbol of inspiration and an object of scientific study. The idea that unidentified objects are appearing in proximity to this celestial body intensifies questions about the nature and origin of these phenomena. One possible explanation for mysterious sightings near the moon is the presence of advanced human-made technology, potentially originating from space agencies or classified military programs. As human capabilities in space exploration advance, it becomes increasingly plausible that we possess technologies capable of reaching lunar distances. Secretive projects or experimental craft could be responsible for some of these sightings. However, the question remains whether such technologies could account for the full range of reported characteristics, including sudden accelerations, abrupt changes in direction, and other maneuvers that challenge our current understanding of physics. Another perspective considers the possibility that these sightings could be related to natural celestial phenomena that we have yet to fully comprehend. Optical illusions, reflections, and atmospheric disturbances could potentially distort the appearance of objects, leading observers to mistake them for unidentified objects. Similarly, anomalies caused by cosmic debris or meteoroids could create temporary visual anomalies that perplex viewers. While such explanations may account for some cases, they might struggle to explain instances where unidentified objects exhibit deliberate behavior inconsistent with natural celestial processes. Among the more sensational explanations is the idea that these sightings represent advanced activity. The moon, as Earth's closest neighbor in space, could hold particular interest for potential visitors from other star systems. The prospect of an advanced civilization observing or even interacting with our moon raises profound questions about the motives, technology, and intentions of advanced entities. However, this notion rests heavily on assumptions about the intentions and capabilities of potential visitors as well as the logistics of interstellar travel. It also raises concerns about why they would choose to reveal themselves in a manner that leads to mere fleeting glimpses rather than direct contact. In evaluating these sightings, it's important to acknowledge the limitations of our human perception and the potential for misinterpretation. Psychological factors, including cognitive biases and perceptual errors, can influence how we process and remember what we observe. Additionally, the vastness of space and the complexities of its interaction with light can create illusions that challenge our ability to accurately assess the nature of distant objects. Furthermore, the advancement of technology, such as powerful telescopes and high-resolution cameras, has made it easier to capture and share images and videos of celestial phenomena. While these tools offer new opportunities for documentation, they also raise concerns about the potential for hoaxes, misidentifications, and the influence of digital manipulation. The realm of space exploration has always been marked by a blend of scientific inquiry and the allure of the unknown. Over the years, numerous reports of unidentified objects have added an extra layer of intrigue to this field. While these objects have often been associated with science fiction, recent developments suggest that even established space agencies, such as NASA, are taking a closer look at these enigmatic phenomena. Unidentified objects are objects observed in the sky that exhibit flight characteristics beyond the scope of conventional human-made aircraft. Historically, these sightings have generated speculation about advanced life, advanced technologies, and government cover-ups. However, a growing body of evidence, coupled with technological advancements in observation and data analysis, has prompted NASA to address the subject with a more open-minded and scientific approach. NASA's primary mission is to explore space, advance scientific knowledge, and expand our understanding of the universe. This mission naturally extends to studying any phenomena that might occur within the celestial realm, including those that challenge our current scientific paradigms. As sightings continue to be reported by credible sources, including trained pilots and military personnel, NASA recognizes the importance of rigorously investigating these occurrences. The interest in unidentified objects within the scientific community is not a new development. In recent years, NASA's attention to unidentified objects has manifested in a more systematic and transparent manner. The establishment of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force within the U.S. Department of Defense, which collaborates with other agencies, including NASA, signifies a renewed effort to gather and analyze credible data on sightings. The goal is to determine whether any observed phenomena pose potential national security threats or could offer insights into new aerospace technologies. NASA's involvement in investigating unidentified objects underscores the agency's commitment to scientific rigor and evidence-based inquiry. The study of unidentified objects within the framework of established scientific methodologies allows for the identification of misperceptions, optical illusions, and conventional explanations that might account for many sightings. This approach seeks to demystify these occurrences while recognizing the small subset of cases that remain genuinely unexplained. Furthermore, NASA's exploration of unidentified objects holds broader implications for our understanding of the universe. As technology advances, our ability to observe distant celestial objects and phenomena improves. Unexplained observations, such as unidentified objects in space, provide an opportunity to refine our instruments, observation techniques, and understanding of natural phenomena. Whether these objects are atmospheric anomalies, cosmic debris, or even extraterrestrial probes, studying them enhances our capacity to differentiate between known and unknown entities in space. It's important to acknowledge that the investigation of these objects within the scientific community remains a contentious topic. As the privatization of space exploration continues to advance, SpaceX, the pioneering aerospace company founded by Elon Musk, has become a leader in the development of innovative rocket technology and ambitious missions to colonize Mars. Alongside the public's fascination with these advancements, there has been a growing interest in reports of unidentified objects spotted in the vicinity of SpaceX missions. Since the company's inception, there have been several instances of mysterious aircraft sightings reported during SpaceX missions. These sightings have ranged from mysterious lights and unexplained objects seen near rocket launches to unidentified craft observed near the International Space Station during SpaceX resupply missions. One of the most widely discussed sightings happened on April 19, when a strange black triangle was seen in the background of the Starlink mission, which led to a flurry of social media posts and speculations about advanced visitors. Shortly after the launch, observers spotted the black triangle in the background, and theories were soon put forward to explain what the object was. Although SpaceX didn't respond to this sighting, in the past, officials said that these objects are likely space debris. Many of these sightings associated with SpaceX missions have been debunked by experts who provide plausible natural explanations for the observed phenomena. These explanations often involve atmospheric and lighting conditions, space debris, or other human-made objects in Earth's orbit. While some sightings can be readily explained by natural phenomena or human activity, others remain unexplained and continue to generate debate among enthusiasts and researchers. The growing interest in sightings related to SpaceX missions has several implications for the public's perception of unidentified phenomena and the possibility of advanced life. As private space exploration becomes more commonplace, the general public has greater access to information and visual media related to rocket launches and other space missions, increasing the likelihood of witnessing and reporting unusual phenomena. Additionally, the association of sightings with cutting-edge space technology and missions, such as those conducted by SpaceX, can fuel the public's curiosity and speculation about the existence of extraterrestrial life and advanced civilizations. This interest is further amplified by the recent declassification of footage and reports by the United States government, which has led to increased public discourse and debate about unidentified aerial phenomena. As of right now, these sightings that have been captured during SpaceX missions represent a fascinating intersection of public interest in cutting-edge space exploration and the ongoing debate surrounding unidentified phenomena. While many of these sightings can be debunked through careful analysis and expert explanations, some remain unexplained, continuing to captivate the imaginations of enthusiasts and the general public alike. As private space exploration continues to advance, it is likely that interest in mysterious aircrafts will increase. NASA's Webb delivers deepest infrared image of universe yet. The James Webb Telescope also captured an infrared image of SMACS 0723, which is a galaxy cluster filled with a myriad of various galaxies. The JWST went a step further by highlighting some of the faintest objects in space ever captured. Granted, the image taken is nothing but a tiny part of a huge universe, a small snapshot into the distant unknown. The reason behind the choice of capturing a galaxy cluster is that clusters act somewhat like magnifying glasses. They help astronomers find galaxies even further away. Some of these distant galaxies witnessed the universe's infancy 1 billion of years ago. The JWST used its NIRCam to create the image utilizing a composition of varying wavelengths. It took just over 12 hours to produce, and the results outshine even the amazing images taken by the Hubble Space Telescope, many of which take several weeks to complete. SMACS 0723 was captured by the James Webb Telescope in the exact same beauty it possessed over 4,600,000,000 years ago, a live reflection from the past. This galaxy cluster can be observed from the south in the direction of the constellation Vodens. There is still not much known about the galaxies in the cluster that scientists hope to uncover more as the JWST's data is processed. The image produced by the James Webb Telescope focuses on tiny clusters of stars that are typically overlooked or overshadowed in images taken of space. But the JWST image showcases all the tiny features of the galaxy cluster that have never been seen prior. The light we see is reflected from 1 billion of years ago. We see these galaxies as they were long before the rise of humanity on Earth because the light takes so long to reach us. When looking at the image, we see youthful galaxies, some of which formed not long after the Big Bang itself. Scientists hope to discover individual galaxies in the cluster's masses, chemical compositions, ages, and personal histories. Every galaxy has a story to tell that astronomers hope to uncover and piece together. Space dust is prevalent in the image and encases our cosmos in colors of all sorts, highlighting the glorious beauty and glamour of our cosmos for how otherworldly it is. Dust is crucial in the creation of stars, but some galaxies, such as blue ones, possess very little of it. Red galaxies, in comparison, have a plenitude of this star-creating dust, while green galaxies generally are mostly filled with chemical compounds such as hydrocarbons. All this amazing research will shed light on how galaxies form and why they are this way, including insight into how they merge, expand, and thrive. Perhaps scientists might use this information to answer the question of why some galaxies cease star production entirely. The James Webb Telescope has captured 48 different galaxies at once using its near-infrared spectrograph. Astronomers detect secret water reserves in the solar system's largest canyon. Valles Marineris, also known as the Grand Canyon of Mars, is the largest canyon in our solar system. But Valles Marineris attracts scientific curiosity for more than just its size. The 2,485-mile-long canyon system may also be home to hidden reserves of water. Recent data from an instrument known as the ESA, Roscosmos ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter's Friend, shows abnormal hydrogen levels below Mars' surface. Unlike previous instruments, FRIEND, which stands for Fine Resolution Epithermal Neutron Detector, can detect neutrons up to a meter below the surface of Mars. According to physicist Alexei Malakov, neutrons are produced when highly energetic particles known as galactic cosmic rays strike Mars. Low neutron levels indicate the presence of hydrogen. Because dry soil emits more neutrons than wet soil, the number of neutrons emitted by soil beneath Mars' surface can indicate levels of water. Between May 2018 and February 2021, FREN collected the data that indicates high concentrations of subsurface hydrogen. It suggests that soil up to a meter deep in the Valles Marineris region contains water that is either locked inside minerals or ice. Because it is unusual for minerals in this region to contain large amounts of water, experts believe that water ice near the surface is the more probable explanation. If the hydrogen is truly forming water molecules, this suggests that water makes up to 40% of the area close to the surface in the region. This watery area is roughly the size of the Netherlands. This discovery is unexpected as the pressure and temperature around the Mars equator does not create a suitable environment for large stores of water. The presence of water in Valles Marineris suggests unusual conditions, possibly relating to the angle of its slopes. The water may also be sitting in scattered ancient deposits. This discovery of water is fascinating because of its surprising location, but this is not the first reserve found on the planet. It appears that the majority of water on Mars exists in the poles in the form of ice. The warmth surrounding the equator prevents the formation of ice at many latitudes. Water on Mars is typically found at higher latitudes, but this recent finding suggests it can be located under the surface as well. The watery region of Valles Marineris is abundant despite unfavorable conditions at the equator. Because of this, it has been compared to the permafrost regions of Earth, where ice is constantly present underneath the dry soil due to lower temperatures. It is still unclear exactly why water has been able to form near the Mars equator and what form that water takes. Understanding the form and conditions of this water may lead to even more important discoveries. This water could expand the possibilities for exploration on Mars. Space crew would likely land around the equator, and accessible water close to the surface could mean greater survival capabilities for the crew. If the water exists in a permafrost-like state, it could contain frozen microorganisms or signs of previous life in the form of organic molecules. And if this water is only a meter below the surface, signs of life on Mars might not be so difficult to come by after all. Scientists say that 4 mysterious signals from outer space are coming from galaxies like ours. Astronomers have discovered strange signals coming from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Australian scientists, using the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder radio telescope, detected these signals 4 times over the span of 2 weeks. The transmissions, originating roughly 4,000 light-years away near the core of our galaxy, consist of irregular pulses and bursts that scientists have never seen before. During the early stages of planet formation, radio signals of similar frequencies are emitted. These new signals are more erratic than those emitted during planet creation, confusing scientists. Nothing about the signals follow a pattern that has been seen before. The intensity of the radio signal varies randomly. The orientation and rotational direction of the transmission is random and changes frequently, and the timing of the signals cannot be planned. Experts from the University of Sydney have shared they believe the signals are coming from a new type of star that we have never seen before. Ziding Wang, a PhD student in the School of Physics at the University of Sydney, said the brightness of the object also varies dramatically by a factor of 100, and the signal switches on and off apparently at random. We've never seen anything like it, Due to the variability of the transmission, scientists first believed it could be from a supernova, solar flare, or pulsar. But the emissions received do not match with what is known about those phenomena. Still, scientists have no idea what caused the signals. Their hope is placed on a new radio telescope being built within the next decade. The telescope, called the Transcontinental Square Kilometer Array Radio Telescope, will hopefully solve this mystery. Professor Tara Murphy from the Sydney Institute for Astronomy and the School of Physics said, "We expect the power of this telescope will help us solve mysteries such as this latest discovery, but it will also open vast new swathes of the cosmos to exploration in the radio spectrum. From discoveries that help us understand the universe to discoveries that make us question what we already know, the vast expanse of space continues to make us wonder." Granger Taylor was a Canadian mechanic and pilot who gained notoriety for his mysterious disappearance in 1980. He was an eccentric figure who had a fascination with space and aliens, and he had reportedly made numerous attempts to contact extraterrestrial beings. Taylor's disappearance was unusual in that he left behind a note that seemed to suggest he was voluntarily leaving Earth on an alien spaceship. The note, which was found in his workshop, reads as follows: "I have gone away to walk aboard an alien spaceship as reoccurring dreams assured a 42-month interstellar voyage to explore the vast universe. Then return. I am leaving behind all my possessions to you as I will no longer require the use of any. Please use the instructions in my will as a guide to help. Love, Granger." End quote. Taylor's family and friends were mystified by his disappearance, and the note only added to the confusion. Many people believed that he had been abducted by advanced beings, while others speculated that he had staged his own disappearance as part of an elaborate hoax. Taylor had always been an unusual character, and he had a long history of strange behavior. He was known for tinkering with machinery and building his own planes and cars, often using unorthodox methods. He also had a deep interest in the paranormal and was known to dabble in astrology, numerology, and other esoteric subjects. Despite the speculation surrounding his disappearance, no trace of Taylor was ever found, and his fate remains a mystery to this day. Some people believe that he may have simply walked off into the wilderness and perished, while others maintain that he was indeed taken aboard a spaceship. The case of Granger Taylor has become something of a legend, and it continues to fascinate people around the world. Some people see him as a tragic figure, driven to madness by his obsession with advanced life and the unknown, while others view him as a visionary who was simply ahead of his time. Initially, it seemed like a harmless and amusing endeavor. However, as he constructed a radio transceiver allowing him to communicate with advanced beings based on the recurring dreams he had about aliens and mysterious aircrafts, concerns surfaced regarding his mental well-being. On the night that he went missing, nearby residents claimed to have heard a loud bang with some coming forward and saying that a bright light could be seen in the sky. This caused some to speculate whether Taylor had, in fact, been picked up by an advanced aircraft and the bright lights that were witnessed belonged to the same craft, while others said that the loud bang could have been due to dynamite. According to Taylor's friend, Keller, a severe storm occurred in Duncan on the night in question, which makes it plausible that the noise heard was thunder. According to Taylor's belief, Keller was informed that the advanced beings would possibly come during bad weather, as it could serve as cover while they traveled. Interestingly, Taylor's possession of dynamite at the time of his disappearance should not be considered relevant, as those who knew him said that he was an expert with dynamite and said that he wouldn't have done anything to cause himself harm. Keller was involved in the construction of the spaceship that was built on Granger's farm. He firmly believes that his friend would not do anything that would cause harm and describes him as an extremely intelligent, pragmatic, and wise individual. According to Keller, Taylor was the epitome of level-headedness. Keller and his family were among the last individuals to have seen Taylor alive. According to him, he would have noticed if Taylor had any unusual intentions, as he was a very intelligent person who lived his life normally. However, he believes that after being called a spaceman, he began to be seen as someone who was not level-headed. Regardless of what actually happened to Taylor, his story has become a powerful symbol of the human desire to explore and understand the unknown. It is a reminder that, despite our many technological advances and scientific discoveries, there are still mysteries in the world that elude us, and that the quest for knowledge and understanding is never truly over. the mysterious disappearance of experienced hiker Karen Sykes. On June 18th back in 2014, renowned hiker and climber Karen Sykes would disappear from the slopes of Mount Rainier, located in the state of Washington, after stepping out of view from her hiking partner for only a few minutes. For the investigators tasked with making sense of Karen's sudden vanishing, the case would be considered one of the most bizarre disappearances recorded on the slope of Mount Rainier. Even more difficult to explain, the years of experience held by Karen Sykes would make the investigation even more puzzling as the days for her search dragged on. According to the official report, Karen Sykes was a professional journalist who had more than 10,000 hours of hiking and camping under her belt by the time of her disappearance. Despite being 70 years old, friends and family of Karen Sykes revered her athletic abilities and would often remark that she was in perfect health despite her age. It was due to her many years of hiking experience and her amazing physical abilities at such an old age that Karen Sykes was well known within the American Northwest hiking community. After spending several years running her own private blog titled Karen Trails, in which the 70-year-old hiker would write about the many different hiking trails all across the American Northwest, including Washington, Oregon, and Northern California, Karen Sykes would eventually be hired by both the Seattle Times and the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. While working for both newspapers, Karen Sykes would write several dozen articles focused on hiking tips and survival advice, which trails were the most pleasant and with the least amount of tourists, and many personal stories regarding her own hiking and climbing sessions over the years. Eventually, her reading fan base would grow to such a size that Karen Sykes would eventually publish several books on hiking across the state of Washington and interviewing some of the most skilled climbers in the United States. After co-authoring several book publications, Karen would take up a small hobby of professional photography, helping her to author another book on choosing the best trails for hikers, wishing to see amazing views, pass through areas rich with wildflowers, and stay completely safe while hiking. It would be by this point in her career that Karen Sykes would have accrued a vast amount of experience in hiking, climbing, and scrambling, and was referred to by the Seattle Times as the guru of the trails. Yet, despite this vast amount of experience with the outdoors and other famous trail guides and climbers, on the June 18, 2014, a disaster would soon strike. According to Karen's boyfriend, as the two were getting ready in the morning of June 18th, Karen Sykes had told her boyfriend that she wanted to visit an area of Mount Rainier that she had visited several times in the past to help finish her research for a new article she was planning on writing about the trail. Expecting to spend the better part of an entire day, the two packed extra survival equipment, food, water, and overnight gear in the event that their hike took longer than usual. By the early afternoon, the couple were out on the slopes of Mount Rainier, following the safe, open trails closer to the base of the mountain, with the highest point of the trail being around 5,000 feet, much lower than where people typically tend to disappear or get injured. According to Karen Sykes' boyfriend, Bob Morthorst, the couple were halfway up the trail when Bob needed to take a short break. Karen, who was still in good shape, decided to walk up the trail a little further to scope out the trail ahead before returning to where her boyfriend decided to rest. Morthorst would later tell investigators that Karen had only been gone for about 10 to 20 minutes when he started to grow worried and began to head up the trail to look for her. After about an hour of searching, Bob Morthorst was unable to locate any sign of Karen Sykes, even after wandering the wide open trail while calling out to her. Worried that something far more dangerous had occurred, he would immediately return to areas staffed by the National Park Service and would ask for a search and rescue effort to immediately be put underway. Bob Morthorst would later tell investigators that he was unsure of what had happened and whether or not Karen had been injured or merely wandered off of the trail by accident. Morthorst would remark that given her vast experience on those trails, it seemed highly unlikely that Karen Sykes could have gotten lost or wandered away from the obvious trail lines, even if she had forgotten a hiking map or any other equipment to help reorient herself. Despite her sudden vanishing, hopes remained high for Bob Morthorst and members of the National Park Service who believed that she would be found and returned in only a few hours. Given the fact that the reported time of her disappearance was much earlier in the day, it also provided search and rescue with enough daylight to locate her before nightfall, where temperatures were expected to plummet to unsafe levels. Additionally, given the fact that the couple had each packed extra gear and supplies to survive an overnight stay, volunteers were in high hopes for the first 12 hours of her search. Within the first hour of her search, the National Park Service would bring together 6 ground crews made up of an average of 3 search and rescue volunteers each, 2 canine teams that were experienced in located lost hikers by picking up their scent and finding their tracks, as well as an airplane that flew over the area to try to find any signs of Karen Sykes around her expected trail. According to Bob Morthorst, the trail that the couple had planned on exploring was the Ojai Lakes Trail, a 13-kilometer-long hiking trail that wrapped around the slope of Mount Rainier in wide-open spaces with low vegetation and fields of surrounding wildflowers. Similar to Karen Sykes, Bob Morthorst also had a history in writing articles related to hiking and the outdoors for the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, though focused more on the casual hiking and amateur outdoorsman categories. It was due to their work and Karen's desire to get photographs of the region that the couple planned on staying along the Ojai Lakes Trail, and so it was incredibly unlikely that Karen Sykes would have wandered away from the trail at any point during the hike. Armed with this information, the search and rescue teams would first search all along the trail and within a 5-mile radius surrounding the trail in the hopes of stumbling across Karen, though next to no sign of her was uncovered by any of the ground teams, the canine teams, or the overhead aircraft. After the first day of searching for Karen Sykes, search and rescue teams started to grow nervous. The temperatures were believed to have plummeted to below freezing, and still no sign of where the 70-year-old hiker had traveled off to was uncovered. After a couple of days of non-stop searching, with investigators questioning hikers in the hopes of anyone having seen the 70-year-old woman prior to her disappearance, still there was no evidence to help point the search and rescue teams in the right direction. In a last-ditch effort to locate Karen Sykes, the search and rescue teams expanded their search radius by a total of 20 miles from the Ojai Lakes Trail, closing down the majority of the park to prevent any contamination of sensitive sites or missing gear. On the third day of searching for Karen Sykes, after roughly 80 hours and an estimated 4,000 man-hours of searching, the search for Karen Sykes would be called to a halt after an older woman was found more than 15 miles away from the Ojai Lakes Trail. Due to the time that had passed, it was nearly impossible for friends or family to accurately identify, and so the search was suspended until a proper autopsy could help to identify the individual. In the meantime, investigators were uncertain if this was Karen Sykes, as the body was found an estimated 15 miles away from the trail, as well as in an area nearly impossible to traverse on foot. Search and rescue volunteers would describe the area as being in one of the roughest, steepest terrain of the national park, and in a more desolate region not frequently visited or traveled on. It seemed incredibly difficult for investigators to explain how it would have been possible for Karen Sykes to have lost her path from the trail and to continue through an area far steeper and rougher than anywhere she knew she should have been. It would have been more likely for her to have turned around instead of continuing through the rough, steep terrain. Oddly enough, after the DNA tests were completed, the Pierce County Medical Examiner's Office would confirm that the individual that was found was Karen Sykes. According to the coroner's office, it was believed that signs of hypothermia were responsible for her passing. But after a closer inspection, the Pierce County Medical Examiner's Office would report that Karen's passing was caused by a heart attack. Although the later stages of hypothermia could cause blood flow issues and heart problems, it is far more likely for a person suffering from hypothermia to pass from kidney or liver failure. At first, the finding was so strange due to Karen's perceived athletic ability and good physical health that family and friends were suspicious of the finding. After investigations ended, the official primary cause of her passing would be deemed as hypothermia. Without further investigation, the passing of Karen Sykes was deemed an accident and no further actions were taken on the part of the investigators. Regardless of the official cause, friends and family remained puzzled about the nature of Karen's disappearance and recovery. How could Karen have ended up so far away from the trail and in steep rough terrain after walking away from Bob Morthorst for only 10 to 20 minutes? Even more strange was the lack of gear that had been found on her when she had been recovered. Given Karen's vast experience in the outdoors, and more specifically the slopes of Mount Rainier, her passing is only made more bizarre in light of the circumstances. In each passing year, numerous captivating discoveries have continued to emerge, showcasing the vast extent of our yet unexplored knowledge. One particularly intriguing revelation that gained significant attention was the circulation of a photograph on social media. The image depicted a perplexing sight, an apparent ancient stargate ingeniously concealed within the depths of a towering mountain. This captivating finding not only piques our curiosity, but also serves as a reminder of the profound mysteries that still lie hidden within unexplored areas. Scientists and researchers do not support the existence of stargates in the literal sense, since there is a lack of empirical evidence validating their existence. However, they do acknowledge that Stargate-like devices were created by ancient cultures to foster a sense of proximity to their deities. These devices served as a means of communication, allowing individuals to establish contact with their gods. While the belief in physical stargates remains unsubstantiated, the understanding is that these devices symbolically represented a spiritual connection between ancient civilizations and their divine beings. This comprehensive explanation delves deeply into the topic, providing a thorough analysis and enriching the understanding of stargates. It is reasonable to infer that the discovered object was a type of device, considering its location deep within a mountain. This aligns with the overarching idea of placing significant objects at high altitudes to foster a sense of connection between ancient civilizations and divine beings. Delving deeper into this concept, it is evident that positioning objects in elevated areas was done intentionally to create a profound connection with the celestial realm. According to one user's statement, upon observing the outer rings of the structure, it becomes apparent that its appearance defies the characteristics typically associated with natural formations. Rather, it resembles something that one might expect to find within the remnants of an ancient civilization that had long ceased to exist. An interesting and peculiar aspect of this structure is its location embedded within the side of a mountain, adding further intrigue to its origins and purpose. A significant scarcity of information has been disclosed regarding the discovery, and it is crucial to acknowledge that scientists have asserted that an astonishing 98% of humanity's past remains shrouded in mystery, with numerous civilizations having risen and fallen during this enigmatic era, most of which remain completely unknown to us. The passage of countless eons has profoundly altered the face of our planet, leading us to consider the possibility that remnants of these lost civilizations may lie hidden beneath the Earth's surface or submerged deep within the vast expanses of our oceans. Throughout human history, the night sky has ignited our imagination with the distant twinkling lights of stars and galaxies. The concept of stargates, inspired by science fiction and speculative theories, has captured our fascination as a potential means of traversing vast cosmic distances and exploring the mysteries of the universe. The concept of stargates has been popularized by science fiction. While science fiction often takes liberties with scientific accuracy, it can serve as a starting point for exploring more grounded theoretical possibilities. Wormholes, hypothetical passages through space-time, form the theoretical basis for stargates. They are often depicted as tunnels that connect distant regions of the universe, allowing for faster-than-light travel between 2 points. These wormholes are inspired by the solutions to Einstein's equations of general relativity, known as Einstein-Rosen bridges. In theory, a traversable wormhole could be stabilized by exotic matter with negative energy density, which counteracts the gravitational forces that would otherwise cause the wormhole to collapse. However, the nature and properties of exotic matter are still speculative and have not been observed or fully understood. The concept of stargates, while captivating, presents significant challenges and paradoxes that must be addressed. One of the most notable challenges is the need for exotic matter with negative energy density to stabilize and maintain a traversable wormhole. This exotic matter's properties remain largely speculative, and the existence of such matter is still unproven. Additionally, the potential for causality violations and paradoxes arises when considering time travel through stargates. The famous grandfather paradox, in which a person travels back in time and prevents their own grandparents from meeting, highlights the complexities and contradictions that time travel can introduce. While stargates remain largely within the realm of speculative physics, scientific exploration does include investigations into the theoretical underpinnings of wormholes and their potential feasibility. Researchers continue to explore the mathematical and theoretical aspects of wormholes, seeking to understand their implications for space-time and the laws of physics. However, the current state of knowledge and technology is far from being able to construct or utilize stargates for practical interstellar travel. The energy requirements, stability concerns, and lack of a comprehensive understanding of exotic matter pose significant obstacles. The idea of stargates, even as a theoretical concept, has broader implications for the future of space exploration. While physical stargates as depicted in science fiction may remain a distant possibility, The concepts of wormholes and space-time manipulation have inspired discussions about potential breakthroughs in propulsion systems and interstellar travel. Research into stargates has the potential to advance our understanding of fundamental physics, including the nature of space-time and the properties of exotic matter. While the practical realization of stargates may be speculative, the exploration of these ideas can push the boundaries of human knowledge and lead to unforeseen discoveries. The landscapes of our planet are dotted with awe-inspiring ancient structures that continue to captivate our imagination and challenge our understanding of history. Among these enigmatic feats of architecture are megalithic structures perched on the summits of mountains. These ancient civilizations, driven by spirituality, technology, and cultural significance, built these structures atop lofty peaks, leaving behind enduring mysteries that beckon us to unravel their secrets. The choice to construct megalithic structures atop mountains was far from arbitrary. Rather, it was laden with profound symbolism and spiritual significance. For many ancient cultures, mountains were considered sacred realms that connected the earthly and divine realms. The elevation above the surrounding landscape symbolized a closer proximity to the gods or cosmic forces. The colossal effort required to transport and assemble the massive stones conveyed the dedication and reverence these civilizations held for their deities or cosmic beliefs. The act of ascending to the mountaintop to engage with the divine likely held deep spiritual meaning, fostering a sense of humility, awe, and communion with the universe. The construction of megalithic structures on mountaintops showcased the remarkable engineering and organizational capabilities of ancient civilizations. These structures were often composed of massive stones, some weighing several tons, requiring advanced methods of quarrying, transportation, and precision placement. Megalithic construction often involved intricate interlocking techniques such as dovetailing, where stones were shaped to fit seamlessly together without the use of mortar. The ingenuity behind these methods remains a testament to the knowledge and skills possessed by these civilizations. The creation of megalithic structures on mountaintops was deeply intertwined with the cultural beliefs and practices of ancient societies. The alignment of these structures with celestial events, such as solstices or equinoxes, suggests that they may have been used as celestial observatories or markers for agricultural cycles. In some instances, these mountaintop structures served as burial sites for revered individuals or leaders. The lofty elevation and commanding presence of these structures could have symbolized the eternal connection between the deceased and the heavens. The decision to build megalithic structures on mountaintops was not without its challenges. Ancient civilizations had to overcome geographical obstacles, harsh climates, and logistical difficulties to transport heavy materials to these remote locations. The mastery displayed in overcoming these challenges underscores the significance attached to these structures and the cultural determination of these civilizations. Several theories have emerged to explain the rationale behind constructing megalithic structures on mountaintops. One theory posits that these structures were constructed as a means of protection, with the elevated position providing a strategic advantage against potential invaders. However, the sheer size and ceremonial aspects of many of these structures suggest that their primary purpose went beyond mere defense. Another theory suggests that these structures were constructed to serve as beacons or markers for travelers navigating vast landscapes. The sight of these towering structures would provide guidance and orientation to those journeying through unfamiliar terrain. The preservation of megalithic structures atop mountains often defies the ravages of time and the elements. The isolated and elevated locations of these structures, shielded from urban development and modern construction, contribute to their longevity. This preservation allows contemporary generations to marvel at the ingenuity and vision of ancient civilizations. The mystique surrounding these structures fuels curiosity and speculation. Their remote locations and the limited historical records from the eras in which they were built leave room for interpretation and imagination. As our knowledge of history continues to evolve, new discoveries may shed light on the motivations, practices, and significance of these structures. The annals of history are filled with stories of triumphs, failures, innovations, and revolutions. Yet, beneath the surface, there lies a vast expanse of uncharted territory, a void where 95% or more of history remains shrouded in mystery, hidden from our view. The scarcity of historical records and the fragmented nature of surviving artifacts leave us with a gaping hole in our understanding of the past. The scarcity of historical records is attributed to a multitude of factors, each contributing to the enigma of missing history. The ancient world was often characterized by oral traditions and perishable materials, which made it challenging for narratives to endure across generations. Papyrus, parchment, and paper, although used for writing, were susceptible to decay, fire, and the ravages of time. Conflict, conquest, and the deliberate destruction of knowledge further contributed to the gaps in our historical record. Libraries and cultural repositories have been lost to war, conquests, and ideological purges. The deliberate suppression of narratives, be it for political, religious, or cultural reasons, has led to the erasure of perspectives that once existed. The historical record has often favored the powerful, the wealthy, and the dominant cultures. The stories of marginalized communities, women, and indigenous peoples have been pushed to the periphery, leading to an incomplete and skewed understanding of the past. Voices that held equal significance but lacked prominence were often ignored or silenced. Archaeological discoveries, although invaluable, have also been influenced by cultural biases. Some artifacts and historical sites have been overlooked due to a lack of understanding of their cultural or spiritual significance by outsiders. Even when records exist, the challenge of deciphering ancient scripts, languages, and symbolism presents formidable barriers. Historical texts might be written in scripts that are no longer decipherable or languages that have long faded into obscurity. The challenge of interpreting the context, nuances, and intentions of the authors complicates our efforts to piece together the narrative of the past. Furthermore, the survival of artifacts is not guaranteed. Natural disasters, looting, and time itself contribute to the fragmentation and loss of historical materials. A single artifact, when separated from its context, can leave gaps in our understanding, leading to misconceptions or incomplete narratives. The missing history casts a shadow over our understanding of the human experience. The vast stretches of unrecorded time leave us with questions about the daily lives, cultures, innovations, and struggles of countless generations. The erasure of certain voices and narratives leaves us with a distorted view of the complexity of human societies. The missing history also undermines our ability to trace the evolution of ideas, technologies, and social systems. Our comprehension of the roots of contemporary challenges and the paths taken by previous civilizations is hindered by the absence of their experiences and decisions. Efforts to reclaim the missing history are a testament to human determination and technological advancements. Archaeological discoveries, historical linguistics, and interdisciplinary collaborations have led to groundbreaking insights. The decipherment of the Rosetta Stone, for example, unlocked the secrets of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, allowing us to access previously impenetrable texts. Advancements in imaging, digital preservation, and artificial intelligence have enabled researchers to reconstruct documents and artifacts that were once deemed irretrievably lost. High-resolution imaging techniques, multispectral imaging, and virtual reconstructions have breathed new life into the pages of antiquity. The universe, with its vast expanse and myriad galaxies, has long beckoned humanity to ponder the existence of advanced civilizations beyond our own. The search for advanced life and intelligent beings has captivated the minds of scientists, philosophers, and enthusiasts alike. Advanced civilizations, often referred to as Type 2, Type 3, or even Type 4 civilizations on the Kardashian scale, are hypothetical societies that have achieved levels of technological advancement far beyond our current capabilities. These civilizations could harness energy from sources such as stars, control weather patterns, manipulate matter at atomic and subatomic levels, and potentially even traverse between galaxies. One hallmark of advanced civilizations is their ability to overcome resource limitations and environmental challenges. They may have developed sustainable energy sources and technologies that reduce their impact on their home planet. The pursuit of knowledge, scientific curiosity, and the ability to manipulate fundamental forces could be defining aspects of their culture. The search for advanced civilizations extends beyond traditional scientific methods. Technological advancements have enabled the exploration of outer space through radio telescopes, space probes, and the study of exoplanets. The Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence initiative seeks to detect potential signals or communications from intelligent beings. Moreover, the search encompasses the study of cosmic phenomena that might indicate the presence of advanced civilizations. Dyson spheres, megastructures that could encapsulate a star to harness its energy, and the study of anomalous cosmic objects are avenues through which scientists probe the potential existence of advanced societies. The discovery of advanced civilizations would be a watershed moment in human history with profound implications for science, philosophy, and society as a whole. The knowledge that we are not alone in the universe could challenge our understanding of human uniqueness and spur a reevaluation of our place in the cosmos. Advanced civilizations could serve as beacons of inspiration, offering insights into the possibilities of technological innovation, sustainable development, and cultural evolution. Their wisdom and knowledge might help us tackle global challenges, such as climate change, energy scarcity, and interstellar travel. However, the discovery could also raise ethical dilemmas and uncertainties. Interacting with advanced civilizations might require careful consideration to prevent unintended consequences, ensure mutual respect, and safeguard our own interests. It could prompt discussions about sharing knowledge, resources, and even cooperating on cosmic endeavors. The apparent absence of conclusive evidence for advanced civilizations, despite the vast number of potentially habitable planets in the universe, gives rise to the Fermi paradox. One explanation is the rare Earth hypothesis, suggesting that the conditions required for complex life and intelligent civilizations are exceedingly rare. Another possibility is the Great Filter, proposing that there exists a monumental barrier that prevents civilizations from advancing to the point of becoming detectable or widespread. Moreover, the concept of a zoo hypothesis proposes that advanced civilizations intentionally avoid contacting or revealing themselves to younger, less advanced societies to allow for their natural development. The discovery of a galactic community observing a non-interference policy could provide insights into the silence in our search for advanced life. Contemplating the existence of advanced civilizations invites us to reflect on our own progress as a species. It prompts us to consider the challenges we face, the trajectory of our technological advancements, and the responsibilities that come with acquiring greater knowledge and power. The pursuit of knowledge and the desire to connect with other potential civilizations underscore the human spirit of curiosity and exploration. As we strive to better understand the universe, we also engage in self-exploration, examining the qualities that define us as sentient beings capable of understanding the cosmos. Physicist claims alien messages may be hidden in the stars. Everyone has at some point wondered about the possibility of life outside of Earth. It is nearly impossible not to when gazing into the empty, never-ending space above us, counting the stars. With space being so vast and seemingly endless, many wonder how or why we have not yet contacted extraterrestrial life. This phenomenon has been named the Fermi paradox. The Fermi paradox refers to the confusing contradiction between the complete lack of evidence for extraterrestrial life and the seemingly high probability of their existence. Some scientists believe they have the solution to explain why we have not made any contact with aliens. Terry Rudolph, a quantum physicist at the Imperial College London, suggests that aliens have been attempting to communicate with us through the stars themselves. Rudolph speculates that if aliens were to communicate vast distances, they would likely attempt to do so in more subtle ways, as to direct any communication to one planet without interference from other extraterrestrial life. As a result, a possible method of communication would be through the stars. He further explains his hypothesis by stating that aliens could potentially manipulate the photons inside individual stars to alter the light emitted from them. This fluctuation in the light of a star could be translated if we could uncover the code. Rudolph postulates, photons can propagate billions of light years and retain significant quantum coherence. This makes stars a reliable resource for communication and allows for messages to be sent across extremely long distances without disturbance. He believes that this method of communication could be appealing to an alien population if they are aware of other alien populations that pose a threat. So, how can we translate these messages? As an extensively educated physicist, Rudolph feels confident in the possibility of this theory. However, he does not claim that aliens are communicating in this manner, rather that it is possible. If his theory were true, it still leaves one crucial issue. We have no way of translating messages in the stars. If aliens were utilizing this method, they would need to provide us with some form of a decoder to allow us to understand any of their messages. Until then, surely it remains a mystery. Telescopes detect the biggest explosion since the Big Bang. In a recent development, astronomers have discovered the largest explosion since the Big Bang. The explosion resulting from a massive black hole occurred at the center of the Ophiuchus galaxy, about 390 million light-years away. This blast is not just speculation from ESA scientists. NASA was able to confirm the blast because the radio data and X-rays matched each other, and low-frequency radio telescopes found that the cavity was filled with radioplasma. While scientists have long been interested in the Ophiuchus galaxy due to its strange curved edge, there had been plenty of doubt about if this curve could have been caused by a black hole. Black holes can release vast amounts of material and energy as radio jets that collide with other objects in the locality. Despite the black hole theory, many astronomers actually believed that the cavity was too big to be a black hole. The team who discovered this incredible event are researchers at the International Centre for Radio Astronomy Research in Western Australia. The team used 4 telescopes for their work, each stationed in different parts of the world, including the European Space Agency's XMM Newton X-ray Space Observatory and NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory. The explosion was so large that it cut through the hot gas that surrounds black holes, called cluster plasma. According to Melanie Johnson-Hollett, a professor at Curtin University and co-author of the research paper, we've seen outbursts in the centers of galaxies before. But this one is really massive, and we don't know why it's so big. The nature of this massive explosion has drawn comparisons to another destructive, large explosion right here on Earth, the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens, which destroyed about 200 square miles of wilderness. Despite these comparisons, the crater the eruption created could fit 15 Milky Way galaxies in a row. Another interesting aspect of this explosion is just how slow it occurred. According to Johnston-Hollett, the explosion looked as if it had been slowly happening over 101 million of years. Excitingly, this discovery may have made it possible to find more outbursts in the future. Astronomers are now able to use low-frequency radio telescopes that may make it possible to discover more explosions like this one. Strange infrared light emitting from a pulsar. The cosmos is a thing of awe, horror, and fascination. Space has been the subject of speculation for eons. Among some of the most questioned space-related topics, black holes and neutron stars have to be some of the most popular discussed topics due to how little we truly know about them or how they fit in the larger scheme of the universe. Recently, the Hubble Space Telescope has discovered something unsettling and intriguing. One neutron star has been caught displaying strange swirls of glowing infrared light. When a supernova explodes, it sometimes leaves behind neutron stars. Neutron stars are an estimated 1.4 times denser than our Sun, but only 12.4 miles in diameter. Space.com claims that at such an insane density, a teaspoon would weigh 1 billion tons. Occasionally, neutron stars spin at high speeds and release electromagnetic radiation, such as X-rays. These neutron stars are known as pulsars. Our XJ 806.4 to 4124 is the name of the neutron star emitting infrared light, and studying it might help develop our understanding of how neutron stars work. RX and 6 other X-ray pulsars near us, being 3,300 light-years away from Earth, are referred to by astronomers as the Magnificent Seven. The reason why these 7 stars are so extraordinary is that they burn intensely hot, hotter than they logically should, given the available energy at their disposal and their age. They also spin around at a slower rate than most other known pulsars. Bettina Posselt, a lead author of an astrological paper in the Astrophysical Journal, states, "We observed an extended area of infrared emissions around this neutron star, the total size of which translates into about 200 astronomical units, approximately 18 billion miles at the assumed distance of the pulsar. Never before has a pulsar emitted infrared light, especially with such an insanely large signal. The emission is clearly above what the neutron star itself emits. It doesn't come from the neutron star alone. And though astronomers are frantically coming up with theories and suggestions, nothing can be proven just yet. We will have to observe and hope that we will be able to uncover the secrets of the pulsar RxJ 806.4-4124. First ever documented tectonic activity on exoplanet. Exoplanets are extremely hard to see. Hidden by a bright light that glares from the stars they orbit, exoplanets are basically classified as anything that orbits a larger star like Earth. In a new report submitted by the University of Bern, scientists found that the night side of an exoplanet called LHS 3844b is tectonically active. This exoplanet, which orbits the red dwarf star, LHS 3844, was detected by the Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite. Though its surface is comparable to that of Mercury, it is larger than Earth and orbits its parent star in 11 hours. Tobias Meyer, an astronomer of the university, mentioned the huge variance of temperatures. We thought that such a large temperature difference could affect the flow of matter inside the planet. The temperatures being referenced to are degrees upwards of 800 degrees Celsius on the sun side and below -25 Celsius on the night side. Similar to the activity seen in Hawaii and Iceland's volcanic areas, researchers witnessed the swelling of material on one side of the planet. They determined that this swelling could cause activity across the hemisphere. While they believe that one side of this exoplanet has a great deal of volcanic activity, the other side of the mysterious planet seems to have none at all. This type of tectonic activity documentation, however, is a first. Until now, we have only seen volcanoes of this nature grow in areas on Earth. How many more tectonically active stars and planets could be in our atmosphere? We are excited to keep following along and find out. Scientists are realizing that a mysterious fast radio burst from space looks strangely familiar. In the galaxy M81, 12 million light-years away, scientists saw strange, bright flashes that are drawing up memories from flashes found in the Crab Nebula. The Crab Nebula is a famous remnant of an old supernova that humans witnessed all the way back in 1054 AD. Those flashes, now known as repeating fast radio bursts or FRBs, were seen by multiple different cultures, such as Chinese astronomers who saw the star above the southern horn of Taurus, as well as Arab and Japanese astronomers. The flashes remained brightly shining for 23 days and were 6 times brighter than Venus, according to the astronomers at the time. It took 700 years for the star remnant to be spotted by telescope by John Bevis, a British astronomer. Famous astronomer Charles Messier even found the star 27 years later and included it in his catalogue of Messier objects. Then, another 200 years later, in the 1960s, astronomers detected a fluctuating radio source where the Crab Nebula lies and determined that the signal came from a pulsar or a neutron star with a strong magnetic field. Now, the flashes that were recently detected by scientists are being compared to those witnessed 1,000 years ago. According to Kenti Ninmo, a PhD student in astronomy, some of the signals we measured are short and extremely powerful, in just the same way as some signals from the Crab pulsar. Astronomers are still trying to figure out the nature of fast radio bursts because where they were found is quite peculiar. Usually, FRBs are found in galaxies abundant with young stars. But the radio dishes pointed the signal source to a group of old stars called a globular cluster. The source of the signal challenges the idea that magnetars, the strongest magnets in the universe and a type of supernova remnant, are responsible for FRBs. This is because the explanation works well when young stars are abundant, but when there is a substantial number of old stars, as is true for galaxy M81, the explanation begins to make less sense. Some astronomers, however, believe it's possible that the magnetar was created by a white dwarf that pulled gas away from another nearby star. The added mass may have caused the dwarf star to turn into a magnetar. Whatever the explanation of the fast radio bursts in M81, astronomers believe there is definitely something strange going on. As time passes, hopefully, answers begin to come in. Asteroid impacts may spread life to other planets. Extraterrestrial life is something that has undoubtedly piqued everyone's interest at some point during their lifetime. Computer simulations now seem to suggest that microbes within rocks fired from Earth could possibly last long enough in space for them to research other places and planets within our solar system, meaning there is the possibility that we may be sending life to other planets unintentionally. The study has been submitted for publication in the journal Icarus and presents a new perspective on the panspermia hypothesis. The panspermia hypothesis suggests that there is life out there in the universe, and that life is moved or distributed through space via meteoroids, asteroids, comets, planetoids, and similar astronomical phenomena. This is purely a theoretical concept as we do not have a way to test it. However, some are suggesting that Earth is indeed playing a role in this. Scientists, such as Mauricio Reyes Ruiz, from the National Autonomous University of Mexico, used computer modeling to demonstrate the impact of an asteroid or comet hitting Earth. The idea is that with enough velocity, there would be so much debris released upon the impact that it would be kicked up into space. The research team found that, dependent upon the velocity and whereabouts on the planet it hit, the debris could reach to the orbits of the Moon, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and possibly even further. Their computer model only considered 30,000 years, as this means that any radiation damage could be taken into consideration, though this still means there could be a large amount of matter from Earth containing live bacteria in space. Planetary scientist Dr. Simon O'Toole, from the Australian Astronomical Observatory, said that the advances in computing technology are truly what facilitated this discovery. He said, "In the past, we didn't have the processing capacity to carry out these simulations beyond the Moon or Venus. We do not know how long this bacteria could survive in space, but this is an active field of research. Even if they do not survive long, it's baffling to consider microbes from Earth in another planet's orbit." Physicists reveal aliens might use black holes as quantum computers. The Fermi paradox is the belief that if extraterrestrial beings really exist somewhere in the universe, there would be far more conclusive evidence that we currently have pointing to their presence. This particular paradox has plagued astronomers, cosmologists, researchers, and alien enthusiasts alike as they continue their search for any indication or advanced life in the universe. Many hold out hope that the lack of evidence does not necessitate the conclusion of its non-existence. Some alternative ideas and potential resolutions to this paradox also claim that there are many reasons why such evidence may be hard to find. Either the living organisms do not operate on a massive scale as may be necessary for there to be evidence of life left behind, or that there simply is not enough material used to result in evidence that could be detected. Another prevalent notion is that because the universe is so massive, there is a good chance that advanced civilizations and groups of extraterrestrial beings may simply be too engaged and involved in their own activities or limited to specific regions, which makes them even less likely to be found. Just because we have not yet found evidence of aliens does not mean we can say with complete certainty that they absolutely do not exist. Now, an even more recent study is giving researchers another idea of why we might not be finding hard proof of aliens. The possibility that these extraterrestrial beings could be using black holes as some sort of quantum computer. What this means in terms of the search for life is that potential civilizations in the rest of the universe may be on purpose or inadvertently concealing their existence using highly advanced technology not entirely accessible to us on Earth. Quantum computing is much faster, better, and a huge improvement upon the technology we use in our everyday lives as digital computing. Quantum computing is also immune to decryption, meaning that its biggest strength lies in keeping information hidden and concealed. And because researchers have been seeking proof by means of radio messages, directed energy such as lasers or gravitational waves among many others, the lack of evidence could be a direct result of the way black holes are potentially being used as quantum computers. This new theory is exciting because it poses a possible solution to the Fermi paradox, as well as potentially directing the efforts of researchers towards potentially better means of finding evidence of life in the universe. Asteroid, Yugu, made up of organic molecules that are building blocks of life. There is a prominent theory in the field of astronomy, which maintains that all basic building blocks of life did not originally come from the Earth itself. In fact, it's argued that these organic molecules were delivered to the planet from outside to eventually land on its surface during its infancy. The organic molecules that make up the basic foundations for all life on Earth are a vast array of compounds containing a combination of the elements, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and other atoms. Such compounds are created by chemical reactions that do not need or use living organisms, but rather are the main underpinnings of all life. And now evidence of these organic molecules or building blocks have been found within substances that come from outer space asteroids. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency spacecraft Hayabusa 2 was able to obtain samples from the asteroid, Yugu, and return those samples to Earth, where they were studied and broken down to their basics. This is an enormous undertaking and has moved researchers one step further to the confirmation that the theory about how life really came to exist on Earth may actually hold more truth than was originally believed. The sample contains several types of amino acids that are used by living organisms in order to build proteins essential to regulating chemical reactions and forming structures like hair or muscle. Even more incredible was the finding of organic prebiotic molecules that are usually formed in the presence of water. Aliphatic amines, carboxylic acid, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and nitrogen-containing heterocyclic compounds. The results of these studies are showing that the asteroid has similar compositions to meteorites in space, meteorites that have been known to have a higher exposure to water. Further information would clarify just how far this evidence goes, and what is lacking from these samples is a good indication of what researchers should keep looking for. Specifically, some of the resources that have been found in other carbon-rich asteroids are missing from these Yugu samples, sugars, and components of DNA and RNA. The research team suspects that the asteroid is not lacking, but rather that further studies deeper into the asteroid are necessary to locate these molecules. James Webb Telescope finds distant galaxies that shouldn't exist. The James Webb Space Telescope has by now been in space for over a year in its current mission. It has provided immense important information thus far, and now the telescope has discovered galaxies that simply should not exist. That is because these galaxies are too big, the stars within them too old, and these two details have shaken all previous notions of how the universe looked and operated in its earliest existence. What's more, these findings do not match earlier observations made by the telescope's predecessor, the Hubble Space Telescope. Two key elements of what the universe looked like in its youth have been compromised. First, the prior conclusion that the galaxies then were small and young, and second, that as a result of their size and age, their stars would burn blue. Now this seems to not be the case. When researchers received images from the James Webb Space Telescope, the last thing they expected to see were the big red galaxies with masses equaling that of the Milky Way. This is astounding because due to the way time and space works in the universe, these images of the galaxies should theoretically be far, far younger than ours. It's necessary to get further confirmation of what has been detected by the telescope and what the images are showing us. Just because it seems that these large red spots are older, larger galaxies, doesn't necessarily mean they are. The truth of the matter is that because there are so many factors at play, particularly when acquiring data from so far away, both in distance and time, there are a lot of variables such as the possibility that certain stars in the early universe might simply emit light in a way that is different to what we originally thought. What might seem like a galaxy could be a star shining in an unusual, never-before-seen manner. This is the complicated yet exciting thing about space, and we are constantly learning and evolving. Astronomers see moons forming in disks around distant exoplanets. One question that has played on the minds of astronomers for decades with no real answer is how planets and their moons are formed. But thanks to new research, we could be one step closer to answering that very question. Within our solar system, we can see a broad range of moons, from the icy moons like Jupiter's Io to the volcanic surfaces seen on Neptune's Tristan. Whilst we have recorded and observed plenty of moons that orbit the planets in our solar system, 219 to be precise, we are yet to observe any moons beyond Pluto. Planets outside of our solar system are known as exoplanets, and moons by definition orbit a planet. Therefore, it is safe to assume that there are a fair number of moons orbiting these exoplanets too. Despite having found more than 4,000 exoplanets, scientists are yet to definitively see an exomoon. There are 6 potential candidates under surveillance that could be orbiting exoplanets, but we are awaiting confirmation. A particular duo of exoplanets, not unlike Jupiter, have been observed for years. They sit nearly 400 light-years away from Earth and may have recently given us the next step in detecting an exomoon and seeing how moons are formed. Astronomers have observed what is being described as a disk of debris orbiting one of these exoplanets. This is a circle of rocks and gas that is slowly and gradually forming together from its own gravity. Could we have observed a moon in the process of its creation? Many astronomical discoveries are made by noticing a small flicker or slight variation in datasets that tell us to probe further. This phenomenon, however, was captured clear as day in a photograph. This photograph has sparked plenty of excitement and discussion among scientists. An astronomer working at Stanford University, Bruce McIntosh, although not involved with the research, commented, "I don't have coherent scientific thoughts. I just look at the image and say wow every time I see it." The discovery was first reported in the Astrophysical Journal Letters on July 22 and has reignited discussions into how moons are formed. Theories have spread within scientific communities, suggesting that high-force impacts may aid the formation, or magnetic whirlpools that disrupt the gravitational pull could be behind the creation of moons. Miriam Benisti, the lead author of the study and astronomer from the University of Grenoble, says, "We have all these theories that are beautiful, but if you cannot test them, they could be completely wrong." This concept of a theory lacking falsifiability or being unable to be proved presents an issue to numerous branches of science, most famously psychology and astronomy, where things can be a little harder to experiment. However, the star system in which this disk of debris has been spotted could present a good opportunity to criticize, rule out, and find support for all of these theories. This system is very young in comparison to our own solar system, with the exoplanets PDS-70b and PDS-70c still having their own disk of gas and dust encircling them, indicating they were only recently formed. It was in 2019, a month after the discovery of PDS-70c, that the dust suggesting an exomoon could be forming was spotted via Chile's Atacama Large Millimeter Array, or ALMA. Despite having been the first sign of activity, the signal was incredibly faint, though follow-up observations by Dr. Benasti's team revealed the disk of debris that could be the start of an exomoon forming. It is hoped that within a short amount of time, these methods and patterns of discoveries can become routine and run-of-the-mill. There are a number of telescopes and space observatories with high-tech equipment and that are very powerful that will be open and available for use over the next few years. Hopefully, we will be able to report exomoons themselves being caught on camera, full-formed and entirely confirmed. The discovery of moons in the making is arguably more exciting than stumbling across fully formed moons. Hopefully, soon enough, we will be able to observe the final product of the exomoons. Astronauts could get oxygen from moon rocks. Space exploration has surprised us with the level of rewards we continue to receive. According to a team of scientists at China's Nanjing University, compounds found in lunar soil may have the capability to produce oxygen and fuel to support moon missions. The team studied moon samples from China's Chang'e 5 spacecraft and discovered iron-rich and titanium-rich compounds that might be able to act as a catalyst in a process called the extraterrestrial photosynthesis strategy. This strategy uses lunar soil to transform water from the moon into hydrogen and oxygen. When astronauts exhale in space, they are producing carbon dioxide that could be used with the hydrogen from water electrolysis to produce hydrocarbons such as methane. The methane could be used as fuel for continued space travel. The paper that produced these findings is part of research scientists have been doing into how resources found on the moon can be used to further space exploration. Space travel is a costly endeavor, and the team is trying to find cost-reducing local resources to make space exploration more possible. Multiple space organizations across several countries are getting in on the action. Along with China's plans to test technology that uses local resources, NASA is also planning to create a long-term plan for a sustainable presence on the moon with the Artemis program. The Artemis program aims to put people back on the moon by the mid-2020s and set up a research station in the south pole of the moon by the late 2020s. Chang'e has been a massive success as it was able to bring back the lunar samples that the team used to make this discovery. Incredibly, it was the first time in almost 50 years that a successful moon sample return occurred. The last time being the Soviet Lunar 24 mission in 1976. Scientists will undoubtedly use this success to discover more secrets of the universe. In the past few years, there have been some incredible space discoveries that have captured our attention. From technological advancements to new planets, the universe continues to surprise us with its endless possibilities. Edward Snowden has issued a cautionary statement about the current state of surveillance technology, emphasizing how it has significantly advanced and become more invasive compared to the technology employed by US and British intelligence agencies that he exposed in 2013. He suggests that the surveillance capabilities available today surpass the level of sophistication witnessed back then, rendering those previous methods appear trivial. During an interview that marked the 10th anniversary of his groundbreaking revelations regarding the extensive surveillance activities conducted by the U.S. National Security Agency and its British equivalent, the whistleblower expressed a sense of satisfaction and conveyed that he had no remorse for his actions. He highlighted the positive transformations that have occurred as a result of his disclosures. This comprehensive discussion explored not only the scale of the surveillance conducted, but also delved into the legality of certain practices. Edward Snowden expresses his concerns about the encroachment on privacy, not only in the physical realm, but also in the digital domain. He highlights the immense influence that technology has acquired, prompting a reflection on the developments witnessed in 2013 that now appear insignificant in comparison to the current capabilities of governments. Snowden's words echo the profound transformations that have taken place, compelling us to contemplate the far-reaching implications of these advancements on an individual's right to privacy. In addition to expressing his apprehension about the potential threats posed by governments and big tech, he also raised concerns about commercially available video surveillance cameras, facial recognition technology, artificial intelligence, and invasive spyware like Pegasus that is commonly deployed against dissidents and journalists. Reflecting on the year 2013, Snowden expressed his disappointment by stating, "We had placed our trust in the government, hoping that they would act in our best interests. However, they failed us. Similarly, we believed that technology companies would not exploit us, but they proved us wrong. This unfortunate pattern is likely to repeat itself as it is inherent to the nature of power." Edward Snowden, the former National Security Agency contractor, has sought refuge in Russia since 2013 after leaving Hong Kong, where he divulged a vast trove of highly classified files to members of the press. Critics of him vehemently condemn his presence in Russia, asserting that it seems to be his only viable alternative to imprisonment in the United States. Despite the challenges he personally faced, Edward Snowden doesn't allow himself to be consumed by the past. Over the past couple of years, Edward Snowden has consciously made a deliberate effort to limit his public presence. This has resulted in a noticeable decrease in the number of speeches he delivers, as well as his withdrawal from engaging in press interviews and social media platforms. The primary reason behind this shift can be attributed, at least in part, to his responsibilities towards his family. According to Snowden, one of the positive outcomes resulting from the leaks is the extensive adoption of end-to-end encryption. This technology has become widely utilized by big tech companies as they aim to address the public's concerns and regain trust following embarrassing revelations that they had been compromising users' privacy by sharing personal data with the NSA. Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest peak and the world's tallest freestanding mountain, has long been a source of fascination for explorers, geologists, and historians alike. Its diverse ecosystems, unique geological features, and storied history have made it a prominent subject of scientific research and exploration. In recent years, a team of archaeologists and historians uncovered a remarkable biblical secret buried within the slopes of Mount Kilimanjaro, shedding new light on the region's history and its connections to ancient civilizations. In 2000, a team of archaeologists led by renowned historians and experts in biblical archaeology embarked on an expedition to Mount Kilimanjaro to study its geological features and potential historical sites. According to a thorough examination of 6 cores that were extracted from the quickly decreasing ice fields at the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, it has been determined that these tropical glaciers began forming approximately 11,700 years ago. The tropical regions were affected by 3 major droughts 1,000 of years ago. Lonnie Thompson, a geology professor from Ohio State University, who led an expedition in the year 2000 to retrieve these cores, described Kilimanjaro's ice fields as stagnant and said that they are currently in a state of decline. Although the biblical story of Joseph is one that is well documented, not only in the Christian Bible, but also in the Torah and Quran, it has generally been treated as a highly dramatized story very loosely based on possible historical events that are intended to teach a lesson rather than act as a definitive record of what occurred. The story begins with Joseph, the 11th of 12 sons, who was highly favored by his father Jacob, much to the irritation of the 11 other brothers. He was gifted a token of this favoritism in the form of a lavishly colored coat that sparked the jealousy of his other brothers. The Bible says that the coat was colored with red and purple dyes, which were the most prestigious and valuable colors in the ancient world due to their extreme cost and difficulty in procurement. Faced with such a blatant display of partiality and frightened of the meaning behind strange dreams that he kept having, Joseph's brothers sold him to an Egyptian merchant and returned the coat to Jacob smeared with goat's blood and claiming that Joseph had passed away. Once in Egypt, Joseph was imprisoned, but his continuing prophetic dreams and skills in interpretation allowed him to gain the attention of the Pharaoh, who was troubled with disturbing dreams. Joseph said that the Pharaoh's dreams indicated that there were to be 7 years of plenty in Egypt, followed by 7 years of famine, and he was given the task of advising the Pharaoh in preparations for the years of famine. During this time, Joseph rose through the ranks of the Egyptian court and quickly became one of the most prominent members of the government as he oversaw grain storage and preparations to see Egypt through the impending 7 years of famine. There has never been a record of any high-ranking Egyptian during this period who was called Joseph. And because it was highly unlikely that a foreign servant turned prisoner could reach the ranks of top advisor to the Pharaoh, it was always thought that this story was more of a richly embellished parable than a factual tale recounting actual events. However, a recent discovery in Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania has lent some credence to Joseph's story. Mount Kilimanjaro is the source of the Nile River's water, and the Nile River was and still is the lifeblood of Egypt. Without it full and flowing, crops and livestock would weaken and would stop growing, and famine would spread across the land, just as Joseph predicted in his interpretations of the Pharaoh's dreams. And studies of Kilimanjaro ice cores have found that there was a massive drought that took place about 3,600 years ago around the same time that Joseph would have been advising the king. Additionally, a canal that was built to keep the Nile River branches open and flowing and allow the tributaries around it to remain fertile did such an excellent job that it is still in use today and functions successfully. Nobody knows who built the canal, but its Arabic name has been passed down from ancient times by the people who live nearby and translates to the waterway of Joseph, leading many to believe that it was built by Joseph in an effort to reduce the impact of the famine. While we may never know which parts of the story are true and which are myths, it certainly seems that these historical discoveries lend credence to the biblical events. The discovery also has significant implications for the study of biblical archaeology, as it provides tangible evidence of the widespread influence of the ancient Israelite civilization and its interactions with other cultures. It underscores the importance of continued research and exploration in order to uncover new insights into the history of the Israelites and their connections to other ancient civilizations. The unearthing of a biblical secret on Mount Kilimanjaro represents a remarkable achievement in the field of archaeology and serves as a testament to the power of interdisciplinary research and exploration. The discovery on the slopes of Africa's highest peak challenges our understanding of the region's history and the connections between ancient civilizations. As scientists continue to delve into the secrets of the past, new discoveries, such as this one, have the potential to reshape our understanding of human history. Leonard Woolley and the Flood, Mesopotamian archaeological evidence. The Mesopotamian flood has been speculated on for centuries and has been investigated time and time again. The majority of historians assert that the Great Flood occurred during the rise of humanity and was the source of the fabled biblical tale of Noah's Ark. During excavations in 1928 to 1929, archaeologists at the historical sites of and Kish unearthed flood deposits which they connected with the flood as according to ancient Hebrew scriptures. Sir Charles Leonard Woolley, a famous British archaeologist, arrived at the scene to investigate further, and it did not take him long to reach his conclusion. It was, in his eyes, proof of the flood. In an excerpt from his 1954 book, he states, "By the time I had written up my notes, I was quite convinced of what it all meant, but I wanted to see whether others would come to the same conclusion. So I brought up 2 of my staff and, after pointing out the facts, asked for their explanation. They did not know what to say. My wife came along and looked and was asked the same question, and she turned away remarking casually, 'Well, of course, it's the flood.' The first test pit used by Woolley was tiny, so the following archaeological season, he dug up several more test pits, one of which being ridiculously large, 75 by 60 feet and 65 feet deep. In this pit, he found a deposit of clean, water-laid soil up to 11 feet thick. Notably, this evidence of the flood was lacking in several other pits in the area, but Woolley wholeheartedly believed that he had found proof of the biblical flood. After only a few years, another discovery was made at a third Mesopotamian site, Shuruppak, where they found a flood stratum. According to myth, Ziusudra, the Sumerian Noah, lived in Shuruppak. This flood residue separated the skeletal remains from the late Proto-Literate and early dynastic period, dating around 29,520,850 BCE, though no other Mesopotamian sites have any such evidence. Despite an attempt made by the creationists to decide an exact timeline for biblical events, the Bible lacks any specific dates for the flood that occurred in Genesis or any other mentioned happening. Stories of the Mesopotamian flood are useful since one is able to draw similarities and contrast differences between the flood of Noah's Ark in Hebrew scriptures and the myth of the Mesopotamian floods and debate whether they were one and the same. Many scholars through the ages have believed wholeheartedly that the similarities between the two provide irrefutable proof of the biblical flood's existence. As such, the widely accepted view is that the original accounts that appear in Genesis arose in Mesopotamia, and this is further proven by the fact that Mesopotamian accounts of such great terrible flood outdate the accounts made in the Bible. Furthermore, the Sumerian king list references a great flood. The king list is a very complicated document which has multiple editions. It's thought that it was created at some point in 21,100 BCE. The king list is a report of every monarch and all the dynasties of ancient Mesopotamia, from the origin of kingship which descended from heaven up until the time it was made. However, the list is flawed. The length of each king's reign is impossibly long, and several early dynasties have glaring discrepancies. Even with these mistakes in mind, the Sumerian king list is a valuable document which has preserved names and bloodlines of real ancient rulers. According to the king list, the flood destroyed everything, cutting through the dynasties until kingship once again descended from heaven and the list of rulers continued. The majority of modern creationists often choose to ignore the Sumerian king list completely, stating that the Mesopotamian flood does not fall into agreement with the liberalist view of the Genesis flood, primarily the fact that, if the Bible is to be taken seriously, Noah and his family were the flood's only survivors. The king list opposes this view. The problem is that if you ignore the evidence provided by the Sumerian king list, then the findings at Kish must too be ignored, as they only support claims of a local flood which would have certainly left survivors. The flood, though intense, was not nearly as large-scale as the Bible claimed its Genesis flood to have been, and though severely destructive, would not have destroyed every human in its vicinity. The question of whether what Leonard Woolley found was the remnants of the biblical flood or simply an unrelated natural disaster has yet to be answered because there is a lack of modern investigation. The flooding of southern Mesopotamia was presumably disastrous enough for stories of a great flood to spread through the country and ancient world. But because the records we have are so old and were passed down by word of mouth for centuries before being written down, many details have surely been exaggerated or simply lost to time. A relic of the precious blood. In 1247, King Henry III claimed to have his hands on an incredibly precious artifact, a vial containing Jesus' blood. He instructed his nobles to gather for a meeting at Westminster Abbey, London, for the purpose of sharing something with them. This was of the utmost importance, but at the time did not say exactly what he would be disclosing prior to the event. Rather, he only referred to it in vague terms as a holy benefit. As the nobles eagerly and curiously gathered, King Henry finally disclosed the reasoning behind such a gathering. He relayed that he was in possession of what he claimed to be drops of Jesus' blood, which was securely enclosed within a vial. His claims were backed up by various means that would have indicated immense credibility at the time, such as seals from bishops, Knights Templars, and the Patriarch of Jerusalem. The king ceremoniously carried the vial within his own hands, taking it to the abbey where he entrusted it in the hands of monks. The bishop claimed that whoever praised the relic would be blessed with 6 years plus 160 days of indulgences. For avid Christian followers, this was most certainly a holy benefit. Surprisingly, though, the reveal of the relic did not gather as much attention as one would expect. This was probably due to the fact that its authenticity and credibility was questioned. Another similar relic was claimed to have been found in a different abbey located in Gloucestershire. This artifact was met with a lot more excitement. As it turns out, though, whoever doubted the authenticity of the relic was not wrong to do so. In fact, King Henry VIII put the vial to the test. The examiners concluded that it was not Jesus' blood, but rather a combination mixture of honey, saffron, and maybe goose blood. Some argue that it may have been presented as a political move on King Henry III's part to gain the trust of his people. Today, other exhibits with the same claims exist, with the most famous one being the Basilica of the Holy Blood located in Belgium. It's just been announced that the governor of Loreto, Sandra Chumpetez, has given an interview to a local radio station about the mysterious event unfolding in Peru. She reported that these cases are not only in San Antonio de Pintuacu, but also in many other regions such as San Regis, San Roque, Bagazin, and Zungaracocha. The governor's most recent announcement revealed that she is promoting a task force to investigate the events further, noting that community leaders told her their testimony about what's happening throughout the area. She's reported that letters have been sent to federal police and the public prosecution office. The area can only be reached by boat, with locals saying that it takes over 18 hours to get there and that this is the reason why journalists haven't investigated what's happening. Oddly enough, since the reports have gone viral, locals throughout the area have said that these mysterious humanoids are still being witnessed. The idea that they are miners with jetpacks has been largely dismissed by those investigating this story, along with those who live in the area. As of right now, glowing entities have been encountered by members of the Iquitu indigenous people in the remote rural district of Alto Nanay, northeast of Lima. Photographs of glowing entities have been submitted by locals who live throughout the area, and something that people noticed is that they appear to have big heads and large black eyes. As of right now, many questions remain. Why would gold miners use jetpacks? The average cost of a jetpack is $350,000. Why are eyewitnesses describing them as 7-foot-tall entities with gray skin and large heads? And how are these humanoids able to give off bright lights? Some have pointed out that the area where these entities have been seen is in the middle of nowhere, and that if criminals wanted to get in there and take what they want, they wouldn't be sneaking around using jetpacks. On top of this, news outlets reported that the people behind these sightings were after gold and said that it can be found in the local rivers. Mining gold from a river requires a combination of specialized equipment to extract the precious metal from the sediment and gravel. This process, known as placer mining, involves separating gold particles from the surrounding material using various techniques. For example, you would need a dredger, which is a floating platform equipped with a powerful suction system that can vacuum up sediment, gravel, and even rocks from the riverbed. Dredgers come in various sizes, from small portable units to large industrial dredge boats capable of processing substantial amounts of material. Heavy-duty excavators equipped with buckets or hydraulic tools are used to dig into riverbanks, riverbeds, and gravel deposits. They can remove large quantities of material for processing. These heavy-duty pieces of equipment were not reported by witnesses, and the gold miners would have no way of carrying these on jetpacks. Local authorities described these alleged beings as armored and floating, and the most intriguing aspect is their supposed invulnerability to attacks. The local residents also drew similarities between their assailants and mythical creatures, as well as referring to local Peruvian beliefs surrounding the face peelers. However, the Peruvian law enforcement has recently identified a new individual as a possible suspect. According to experts, the responsibility for illegal gold mining activities can be attributed to criminal organizations, which have caused significant damage to Latin America over the years. Peru's National Prosecutor's Office, currently examining the entities, has attributed responsibility to the gold syndicates who have faced significant resistance from the Brazilian and Colombian armed forces. According to prosecutors in Peru, these organizations who are using jetpacks aim to instill fear through their unusual tactics, effectively keeping the residents confined to their homes and deterring them from accessing the illegal gold mines. Prosecutors have suspicions that these unauthorized mining organizations initially utilized their jetpacks to explore for gold in the remote and harsh jungles surrounding Peru's Nanay River. The Iquitu people in rural Alto Nanay, Peru live in close proximity to thick rainforests. In this area, gold has accumulated in the riverbeds of the Nanay River's tributaries as if it were sediment. The Iquitu informed journalists that the recent invasion, which started on July 11th, has subjected the residents to relentless assaults by mysterious beings. However, many locals have said that news outlets have twisted their words and said that the entities were not wearing gray clothing, but rather their actual skin was gray, and that the entities gave off no noise and no jetpacks were seen during these encounters. On top of this, these entities were not affected by their weapons and had the ability to give off a blinding light which would disorientate the eyewitnesses. Some have suggested that a possible cover-up is happening and that the illegal activities are being used as a front for what's happening right now. Others backed this up by saying that the entities were over 7 feet tall and were very slender. As of right now, officials are trying to suggest illegal miners as a possible cause, but as some have said, human miners are not immune to bullets. According to Jairo Avila, an Ikita leader, he stated to radio programmers that these individuals are advanced entities. Avila admitted to the local radio station that he fired 2 shots at them, but instead of falling, the entity stood up and vanished. The mysterious events in the community have caused fear among the residents. However, another witness for the prosecution, a teacher, observed these strange creatures ascending from the ground using more conventional methods. According to Christian Pacaya and other witnesses, the illegal mining syndicate utilized advanced equipment such as propellers and high-tech devices, which Peruvian law enforcement authorities have referred to as jetpacks. The Ikita people, residing in a village situated about 10 hours away from Loreto's capital Iquitos, find themselves unable to continue their normal routines. In response, they have taken the initiative to form nighttime patrols in order to confront their technologically advanced assailants. They are enacting these measures until the Peruvian military can step in and provide assistance. As of right now, more and more information is being released about the mysterious entities that were sighted in Peru. Oddly enough, since the topic has been trending, locals have been posting photographs of the alleged creatures, with some describing them giving off bright lights, while others have said that they have big heads with larger eyes. Interestingly, locals have said that this isn't the first time that these entities have been witnessed, and detailed that locals have allegedly been encountering them now for several months. This short video was sent to us by a subscriber, and they claimed that it showed a mermaid that had washed up on a beach. The user said that the footage is currently being shared around social media and that it shows a mysterious aquatic humanoid that was found by one of the locals on a small coastal beach. The story goes that one evening a man heard loud noises coming from the ocean, and as they got closer, they noticed something strange. A creature was moving around on the shore, its tail glistening in the moonlight. Those who saw it said that it didn't match any known aquatic animal, and so they quickly took photographs as evidence. News of the creature's arrival spread like wildfire, drawing crowds that wanted to see the mermaid for themselves. Curiosity and awe filled the air as people gathered around the enigmatic creature, their eyes wide with wonder. Some whispered tales of mermaids from ancient folklore, while others marveled at the sheer beauty and elegance before them. The mermaid lay still, with its eyes closed as if in slumber. Its long tail could be seen moving, but no one wanted to go near it in fear that they would be dragged to the depths. The townsfolk watched in hushed anticipation, unsure of what to do. It was a moment that defied explanation, a meeting between fantasy and reality. Word reached the local authorities, and soon officers could be seen throughout the area, telling people that they had to move on. Allegedly, a team of marine experts and biologists arrived to assess the situation. They approached the creature cautiously, respecting its ethereal presence. With meticulous care, they examined the creature, studying its unique features and attempting to unravel the mystery of its arrival. Not much else was released about the encounter, with the townspeople saying that they were told to move on. Skeptics, though, suggested that the creature in question wasn't a mermaid and could have been a dolphin or a whale that had washed up on the beach, and that due to the creature having its head covered, it would have made it difficult for the eyewitnesses to have seen what it was. However, this hasn't stopped people from believing that these creatures exist. Mermaid encounters have been a subject of fascination and intrigue throughout human history. Legends and tales of these mystical beings have spanned cultures and continents, captivating the imaginations of people around the world. While mermaids are often associated with folklore and myth, there have been numerous accounts of alleged mermaid sightings and encounters throughout the ages. These encounters have fueled speculation, wonder, and debate, blurring the line between fantasy and reality. The earliest records of mermaid encounters date back 1,000 years. In ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Assyria, and Greece, there are references to water-dwelling creatures with both human and fish-like features. These depictions laid the foundation for the mermaid mythology that has persisted throughout history. One famous account of a mermaid encounter is that of Christopher Columbus during his voyages to the New World. In his journal entries, he documented seeing 3 mermaids near the coast of present-day Haiti. However, it is widely believed that what Columbus actually saw were manatees, a marine mammal that bears some resemblance to mermaids. Over the centuries, there have been numerous reports from sailors and fishermen claiming to have encountered mermaids. These accounts often describe encounters in which sailors spotted beautiful women with fish-like tails swimming alongside their ships or resting on rocks. These sightings were attributed to the mesmerizing effect of long voyages, coupled with the sea's vastness and the human tendency to interpret unfamiliar sights through existing cultural myths and beliefs. In more recent times, alleged mermaid encounters have been reported in various locations around the world. In 2009, villagers in the coastal town of Kiryat Yam in Israel claimed to have spotted a mermaid swimming near the shore. The sightings attracted a large crowd, and the local municipality even offered a reward for proof of the mermaid's existence. However, skeptics argued that the sightings were likely a result of misidentifications or hoaxes. Similar accounts of mermaid sightings have emerged in different parts of the world, including the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia. These encounters often gain attention in local communities and capture the interest of the media, sparking debates about their authenticity and the existence of these mythical creatures. Scientifically, the existence of mermaids is widely regarded as a product of folklore, mythology, and the human imagination. The physical attributes of mermaids, such as their fish-like tails and ability to breathe underwater, are biologically implausible for humans. Marine creatures like manatees, dugongs, or seals are often cited as potential sources of misidentifications in alleged mermaid sightings. Nonetheless, the allure of mermaids persists in popular culture, art, literature, and entertainment. Mermaids continue to enchant the minds of individuals, symbolizing a connection between land and sea, the beauty of nature, and the mysteries that lie beneath the waves. As of right now, mermaid encounters occupy a unique space between myth and reality. While the majority of reported sightings can be attributed to misidentifications, legends, and cultural beliefs, they reflect humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown and our desire for enchantment. The allure of mermaids lies in their representation of a mythical realm where the boundaries between human and animal, land and sea, blur. Whether real or imagined, mermaids continue to captivate our imaginations and remind us of the enduring power of folklore and the mysteries that reside within our collective consciousness. Scientists call for the ocean to be legally treated as a living being. Our ocean is an extraordinary place. It's the beginning of all life and from whence we all came. Therefore, humanity's overall treatment of it seems extremely cruel when we consider all the wrongs we have done towards it. For centuries, it has provided us with substance and resources. It's responsible for much of the oxygen that allows us to breathe in our atmosphere. Despite this, our oceans remain the lowest priority when it comes to battles against climate change and environmental concerns. Scientists are calling for better recognition of the ocean in hopes of salvaging it for the future. Many believe that without change, the oceans could be lost to us forever. Biologists Michelle Bender and Rachel Bustamante from the Earth Law Center USA have released their research and argument in PLOS Biology, a scientific paper. Bender and Bustamante have stated, maintaining the status quo of environmental law equates to the legalized destruction of nature. International law needs to evolve to reflect the ocean's inherent rights to exist, flourish, and regenerate. Ocean health is human health. It's notable that they capitalized nature in their statement to reflect their belief that nature deserves to be acknowledged as its own being. They claim that nature deserves to be viewed as equal to humans and not as a resource for us to demolish and abuse. This argument that the ocean should be considered a being in its own right falls under the modern concept of Earth law, which dictates that humans should see the world itself as something sacred to be protected and respected. Biologists hope to raise awareness of this movement to have the Earth recognized as something to support under legal constitutions, such as the right to exist. Simply put, certain groups believe that the Earth deserves to share our universal human rights. Bustamante and Bender write, building upon Earth law and rights of nature understandings, ocean-centered governance recognizes the ocean as a living entity, advancing law, policy, and institutional action that centers the needs of the ocean in decision-making. The UN General Assembly publicly announced in late 2017 that the era between 2021-2030 would focus on repairing the harm done to the oceans, and that the UN would place further consideration into aquatic research and figure out ways to make our coexistence with the ocean and its creatures sustainable and less damaging to the environment. In 2015, scientists released the first universal ocean assessment, which opened the eyes of many communities as to how deeply the seas were suffering. The report revealed that climate change, overfishing, resource gathering, and most importantly, pollution have impacted the oceans more than previously anticipated. Since then, researchers have been working out ways to solve this ever-growing problem in hopes of rescuing oceanic life before it's too late. As things stand, the situation keeps getting worse. Little is being done to subvert the consequences of our actions, which are already occurring and destroying the ocean by filling it with trash, oil spills, and immense amounts of carbon dioxide. Ancient structures below Lake McDonald. Imagine an underwater civilization lost to time and mystery. Did the city of Atlantis pop into your mind? At the heart of many books and movies lies this island, which was once home to a great naval power that disappeared below the surface, never to be seen again. Though the legitimacy of Atlantis may be a mystery forever, it certainly does not mean that there are no real-life lost ancient cultures in the ocean just like it. In fact, one such lost civilization may have just been rediscovered in the depths of Lake McDonald in Ontario, Canada. On one fateful day, a group of divers decided to participate in a submarine project. By the time they reached a depth of 40 feet, they found a series of oddly shaped structures. At first glance, research hypothesized that they were a type of perched erratic that a bunch of glaciers transported 1,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. However, upon closer observation, the divers noticed that the structures had far more detail worth looking into. That prompted several more scientists and geologists to conclude that the rock assembly was made up of 7 gigantic monoliths made by man and not by nature. But how exactly did these rocks get here? Is there a chance that they could have fallen on top of each other in a perfect structure by chance? To find the answers, the experts turned to math and statistics. As predicted, the numbers only reported that even rocks forming such a structure were almost impossible. To have 7 rocks be situated in such a position was practically unthinkable. So, one thing was for certain, this was no work of Mother Nature. Knowing that, scientists decided to look for the next obvious signs of human involvement, impossible tool use, or other decorative images. They first found a layer of sediment which indicated that no human had touched the rocks in quite a long time. So when did the last humans touch these stones, and who were they? How did they manage to haul these giant objects and put them in such a position? For the many visitors who often visited the Halliburton Forest where the structure was located, they noted how aesthetically pleasing the rocks almost seemed to be. For them, it almost looked quite similar to an Arctic Inuksuq. To try to find more answers, researchers tried to draw upon the history of the land. 1,000 years ago, they discovered that the areas had suffered bouts of constant droughts. Because the land was very arid and dry, the waters of the Great Lakes were actually around 50 meters lower. That certainly happened to Lake McDonald as well. In conclusion, biologists determined that the lake was home to ancient glacial relic lake trout that had survived multiple bouts of glaciation. It was not always a lake either. It turns out that it was part of an ancient river system that had funneled glacial meltwater south into the once existing Lake Agassiz for millennia. There is no doubt that many questions and mysteries still swirl around these unique underwater structures. However, we do know that ancient cultures are most likely more advanced than we give them credit for. Perhaps they might just point to evidence of an era in humankind's history that we have never yet discovered. Ocean life projected to end in mass extinction. Scientists fear that an aquatic mass extinction is underway. According to recent studies, nearly 90% of selected aquatic species have been marked for high priority endangerment or thought to be at severe risk of going extinct in the next century. Biologists warn that due to the overwhelming amount of carbon in the water, the environment of the sea is changing fast for the worse. The Dalhousie University of Canada has assembled a team of respected scientists and researchers to investigate sea life. Their findings revealed that the 25,000 species they have observed, nearly all of them will fall to extinction if nothing is done to lessen the situation. If our greenhouse gas emissions stay at these high rates, many of these oceanic creatures, protozoans, bacteria, algae, fish, and sea mammals will vanish from the planet by the year 21,100. Other research revealed that creatures higher on the food chain are more likely to perish than those lower on it. A wide range of oceanic ecosystems will be affected, including but not limited to the Coral Triangle, Australian coasts, the Red Sea, the Gulfs of Persia and Thailand, and the Caribbean. The study has been quite startling and sobering, in the words of ecologist Daniel Boyce of the Institute of Oceanography. Notably, Boyce notes that this is still speculation and nothing is set in stone, but that it could be a potential outcome of the consequences of global warming. According to Boyce, it's the worst-case scenario. And when we evaluated that scenario, we found that there was a very grim picture for the climate risk for marine species. If even a handful of these species were to fade out of existence as a result of extinction, it would reap horrific results on the world's many ecosystems and would impact the world food chain directly. 252 million years ago was the last time the planet suffered a major extinction event where 90% of life was demolished, deemed to be the Great Dying by researchers. We can only hope that adequate actions will be taken to prevent such a tragic future for our planet. Coffins float out to sea after Italian cliff collapses. In 2021, a landslide in Italy had a few unexpected consequences, as hundreds of coffins were disrupted in the chaos. In northwest Italy, hundreds of coffins were pushed out to sea when a landslide made the grounds of a century-old cemetery on a cliffside incredibly unstable. There were an estimated 200 coffins seen in the Camantli waters close to Genoa. Adding to the disaster of the event, 2 chapels were also lost in the landslide as they were pushed onto the rocks that sat below the cemetery. The mayor of the village described this as an unimaginable catastrophe. The walls of the cemetery featured rows of coffins kept in a traditional Italian style. Those working in nearby areas were able to see the walls shake, with some even capturing the footage. The mayor of Camogli, Francesco Olivieri, said to CNN, "This type of collapse that happened today is very hard to detect or to predict. However, this area is prone to cliff collapse, and local workers did report having noticed cracks in the cliffs just days before, acknowledging that this could mean a risk of collapse." Camogli councillor Tino Ravello told ANSA, an Italian news agency, that due to strange creaking sounds, the access to the area had been limited and prevented. Following the incident, divers from the fire brigade, Coast Guard boats, and firefighters all took to searching for any salvageable remains of the cemetery. Officials blocked the surrounding areas to prevent the coffins from floating out to sea, though a few days after the incident, only 10 coffins had been recovered. This tragedy is truly devastating to those loved ones of those laid to rest. But no further injuries occurred and the damage was as limited as possible. A Denisovan jawbone was discovered in a Tibetan cave. An incredible new discovery has revealed something new about the history of ancient humans. Scientists have discovered remains believed to be that of a Denisovan. They happen to be the most complete remains to date from the Denisovans, an ancient hominin group that remains little known today. The jawbone was discovered at an altitude of more than 3,000 meters on the Tibetan Plateau. It's thought to be more than 160,000 years old and is also the first Denisovan remains found outside the Siberian cave where a Denisovan was first discovered about a decade ago. The locations of these findings confirm that the hominins were more widespread than the current fossil record suggests. While the jawbone specimen was discovered in China in 1980, archaeologists had not started studying it until the 2010s. Since one of the teeth was still erupting, they believed the remains may have been that of an adolescent. Another first in this discovery is that this is the first time that the analysis of proteins alone has identified an ancient human's remains. Since there was no usable DNA left on the remains, the scientists used the proteins found on the teeth. This has raised hopes that more fossils can be identified in the future even without DNA. Despite this hope, according to Katarina Duker, an archaeologist at the Max Planck Institute who is running a separate project with the goal of discovering more Denisovan fossils in Asia, DNA analysis is the current gold standard for identifying the species of ancient remains. She speculates if DNA could still be found in this instance, if not on the jawbone, perhaps somewhere in the sediment of the Tibetan cave. Another fascinating aspect of this discovery is that it shows how high of an altitude ancient humans lived, and how that may have influenced the current genetics of Tibetans. In fact, some Tibetans have a gene called EPAS, one that reduces the amount of hemoglobin in their blood, making it possible for them to live at high altitudes with low oxygen levels. The jawbone discovery suggests that this adaptation may have come from Denisovans. From the DNA collected from remains discovered in Denisova Cave in Russia, scientists have been able to determine that Denisovans were a sister group to Neanderthals. These two groups also seem to have interbred, as a recently discovered bone fragment belonged to an ancient human with a Denisovan father and a Neanderthal mother. The discovery of the jawbone may influence scientists to rethink the classification of other specimens that might line up better with the Denisovans. However, the confirmation comes from protein or DNA analysis, which is destructive in nature, so the decision to prove their speculations must come from reasonable justification. Whatever scientists decide, the discovery of this jawbone alone has many implications for the study of ancient humanity. Largest DNA sequencing of Viking skeletons. Hollywood and popular Viking lore has given most of us a very specific idea of what that group of conquerors looked like and where they were from. Many historians believed that they were seafaring warrior tribes from Scandinavia, who banded together to conquer and pillage European villages. Depicted as blonde, brutish invaders of Europe for centuries, breakthrough new DNA evidence has suggested that they might not be as alien as first believed. Eskar Vilislav, a fellow of St. John's College, University of Cambridge, and the director of the Lundbeck Foundation Geogenetic Center, recently spent 6 years leading a research project to sequence the largest amount of Viking DNA in history and to uncover the true origins of this infamous but mysterious culture. And what they found shocked them. The DNA sequences of over 400 Viking skeletons from 442 bone fragments revealed that many Vikings may not have been as Nordic as we had believed. For example, many of the Viking skeletons in Scotland turned out to actually be native Scots who were buried as Vikings, presumably after having assimilated into the Viking culture. Additionally, Scandinavian genes had already been mixed with genes from nearby Asia and southern Europe well before the rise of the Viking conquests, indicating that other people likely came to them before they ever began raids across Europe. Also, most of the Vikings had brown hair rather than the stereotypical blonde. The Vikings had a lot more genes from southern and eastern Europe than we anticipated, reported. They frequently had children with people from other parts of the world. In fact, they also tended to be dark-haired rather than blonde, which is otherwise considered an established Viking trait. Essentially, it appeared that the Vikings were less native Scandinavians and more diverse genetically. They shared little DNA with that of the Norse peasants living in their homelands and were instead influenced by genes from all over their conquering areas. In fact, the current United Kingdom is estimated to contain up to 6% Viking DNA as a result of these early emigrations and intermingling gene pool. Additionally, where it was previously believed that all of the most powerful men and warriors from neighboring tribes and villages would form a band to go on raids, genetic evidence indicates that in fact members of raiding parties were usually closely related family units. One such example was a grave for 4 men who had lost their lives in a battle on the same day, who were revealed to have been brothers through DNA sequencing. One of the most important results of this groundbreaking study is the fact that it gives historians and researchers much better historical context for the previously mysterious Vikings. In a time where extensive mobilization and trouble was incredibly rare and nearly impossible, these findings depict just how widespread the Vikings were, shedding some light on how impressive and impactful the age of the Vikings truly was. With these results in mind, researchers and historians can begin revising and adapting their understanding of the age of the Vikings.